Hi, thank you for joining me for this segment of Transformed, a podcast by yours truly. This is Chaplain Michele. It's still going to be today the problem with futurizing your life. That's what I'm talking about today, but before I hop into it, please go ahead and like, comment respectfully once you hear the segment, share, turn on your notifications if you haven't already done so. Just always remember that I appreciate the time, energy, effort that you take to spend time with me on this channel, and I do appreciate your support. It's still going to be today the problem with futurizing your life. No matter how much we talk about yesterday, the past, history, coulda, woulda, shoulda, or tomorrow, the future, if I, when I, one day, someday, the art of living, if it can be called that, I think it's practice, I think it's art, I think it's a combination of things. And the mastery of your life can only be achieved by mastering being present and living in the moment. Let me say that again. No matter how much we talk about, or you talk about, or any of us talks about, yesterday, the past, history, coulda, woulda, shoulda, hindsight is 2020, or tomorrow, the future, when I might, I'll wait, any of those contexts that seem to position us for past or future. Just understand the art of living. That may not be the best terminology, but that's the one I'm going to use right now. The art of living and the mastery of your life can only be achieved by mastering being present and living in the moment. Now, we've heard this for years. You have to live in the moment. You have to be in the moment. But why do we say that? And even if we're saying it, even if it's a mantra, even if it's something that we use as a term, a buzzword, are we really achieving that? Historizing, or I should say historicizing, I don't know if that's a term, but if not, I just made it up. Historicizing or futurizing your life keeps you from living your life. Understand what I'm saying. Historicizing or futurizing your life keeps you from actually living it, right? Because past and future only happen in your mind, in your soul, in your imagination. Past has already happened. So the framework of the past is really your memory of it. It's really our memory of the experiences we had, the things that we thought were going to happen that didn't happen, the things that we wanted to happen that did happen, things that we could control, things that we didn't control, things that we don't have control over. So the context of history, yes, is a documentation and an account of our experiences, but not our direct experiences. It's a framework for memories. It only exists. It's not that the things, the events didn't happen, right? So we're not talking about a denial. We're not talking about being oblivious. We're not talking about any of those things. It's not that they didn't happen, but the fact of the matter is that whether or not they happened, they are no longer, it's no longer that time. Let me give you an example. We say, history repeats itself. We don't understand history. And this could apply across the board, right? Because we're very good at generalizing, otherizing, and generally objectifying things. But each of us is part of history. We have our own histories. Those histories come together collectively and make up what we call history. No, we all have history all the time. Every moment is creating history. And we like to say that history repeats itself. No, stop objectifying it. History is a collection of experiences that were had by the group of people living on the planet or in a particular place or time or in a family or wherever it was at that moment. It's people, just like everything else. There is no history without people. Are there things that exist beyond us and greater than us? Yes. But the fact that they exist beyond us and greater than us is not history. It's not history. That's not history. That's another thing. That's eternity. That's universal. That's something else. As it relates to us, we all have history. We are creating history even right now in the moment, and that's the key. History is not created looking back, and it's not recreated looking forward. It's history does not repeat itself. People repeat history. Now, whether that's at the personal level or whatever, it doesn't matter. History only, quote unquote, repeats itself because that's what we want to happen. It is not this thing that mysteriously keeps happening. It's nothing mysterious about it. And whether we consider it good or bad, I'm not here to rate it. I'm not trying to judge it. I'm saying if when we look at it objectively and understand that history is being created every moment of every human's life, every moment of your life, you're creating history. Now, is it the kind of history that makes books? Well, if you journal, yeah. It might not make books that we read or given to read, but why couldn't you write a book of your own history called an autobiography, a memoir? So we're all creating history all the time. But the context for past, for historical events, are things that already happened or are understood in some way to have happened, to have occurred already. So the context is coming out of our soul, our spirits and our souls, imagination, intellect, knowledge, or what we think we know, particularly when it comes to imagination, because we were not there. You can't have an experience unless you've had an experience. You can't have an experience until and unless you've had an experience. So even if we think we understand what happened, there are dynamics within those moments that we can't necessarily understand because we were not there. Same thing with the future. Well, this is what the future looks like. We don't know what the future looks like. The future looks like right now. Why? Because today was yesterday's future. The future looks like everything that we're doing, thinking, feeling, believing right now. That's from an individual perspective. And understand, when I'm sharing with you, for the most part, I'm speaking at the individual, personal, private level. Because we've got to understand our individual responsibilities to steward our own journeys. I'm not responsible for stewarding your journey, but I am responsible for how I treat you along the journey. I am responsible for how I use the resources, people, places, things related to my life, even my own life, and how I steward those things and people and places and things that come across my path. I'm responsible for that. At a spiritual level, each and every one of us is responsible for that. So the future looks like exactly what you're believing. Belief informs your soul, which is where your imagination, your ego, your mentality, your emotions, intellect, psyche, psychology, all of those things, whatever you want to call it outside of spirit, we're spirit first. Spirit is belief, value, conviction. Spirit informs the soul, what I think, how I think it. What is the dynamic between spirit and soul? Those two remain even after the body falls off. So when we go back into a spiritual form, understand all of these things. The future is right now. Again, it's a context. It's an imagined context because we haven't yet to have the experience. So in some way, it's fantasy. I don't mean fantasy to the extent that it is unrealistic. There could be some things that are realistic. Again, not judging, just making the point that there is no such thing of the future the way that we think about it. We're creating it. The future is right now. History is right now. They are all happening right now. What we didn't fix in the past is happening again. Not because history repeats itself, but because we are repeating it, either intentionally or unintentionally. The future is happening right now. Why? Because we haven't gotten there yet. And even when we get there, going back to the premise, it's still going to be today. So historicizing or futurizing your life keeps you from actually living your life. You cannot live your life through the process of intellectual concepts or fantasy. Thought is not what living is about. It's a part of your life, and you have to align your thoughts with your beliefs, which will then inform and shape your behaviors and your speech. It's not just what I think about you or about my life or about anything that I'm doing or you're doing. It's why I think that. What are the spiritual implications? What is the spiritual genealogy? What is the spiritual DNA that I'm bringing to the table that causes me to think or act or behave a certain way, good or bad? Not here to rate the thing, here to establish a basis for why things might be going various ways in our lives. Is because we have not taken this as we're part of the process. We are the process. We are the process. And so we say, well, history says, oh no, history is not saying anything. It's the spiritual genealogy, the lineage, not just of families, but of generations. Not just of generations within families, but of generations of people that have existed on the earth. Generations of human beings, not just generations of families. Right? So we can take the family picture and we can have 3 or 4 or however many generations within the family. What we don't think about is that there are also generations of human beings. So generational is not just applying to my family or yours. Generational is about a particular space in time where millions or billions of people existed on the planet together as human beings. That's a generation. We can't live out of a thought context. We have to live by understanding what we individually believe and testing that to see if that's what I really want to believe. Is that going to bring me into a transformed, transcendent life? Is what I currently believe, what I currently think, is that going to bring me into my highest and best self? Is that going to leave me a legacy? Legacy is not what you leave, it's what you become. It's what people say about you while you're here and after you're gone. That's legacy. What you leave might be material legacy or financial legacy. But when we think about legacy, what we're talking about is, who did I become? Because we are and we do, let me rephrase, we do what we become. We do what we are. We do who we are. So we have to begin to take responsibility, one, for understanding that history is past. It's an experience that is gone, whether it's yours or someone else's. The experience, that moment in time, is gone. If you experience something in a past moment, it does not mean that you aren't still carrying that, because who you are today is a result of history, either yours or someone else's. From where you are, you have the opportunity to determine what direction you want your future to be, to go in. And I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about how we might try to control or manipulate other people. Because in the scheme of the universe, that doesn't matter. It carries no weight. And the undercurrent of each and every single one of our lives is spiritual first. So I think of it like gravity. You were born into a world under the force of gravity. You have no control over it. You can't defy it unless you build special things around yourself. So when I talk about spirit, I need you to remember gravity. This is something you came here with. You were born into it. You don't control it, but you have to be aware of it so that you can understand maybe not completely, but understand that you are not in control of your life. However, in totality, you have responsibilities. And we have to understand that we have responsibility without having full control. And we don't like that. Ego does not like that. But ego is killing us, right? Because we think we can control things that we really don't have control over. We never have. We never have had control over. That's not a statement of we're weak. It's a statement of understanding how we operate within a universe that exists beyond us, that was here before us, will exist after us. How we align ourselves with the current of time. Because time is currency. Time is eternity manifested. So time is always flowing. Time is always flowing. Time is always moving forward, upward. Time is always advancing. And we have time, but more importantly, time has us. And so in order to become our highest and best selves, in order to understand why there might be incongruency and inconsistency in ourselves and even in others, we have to understand these things. History's already happened. Doesn't mean it, but it's also present in this moment. The future has not happened, but it's being, quote unquote, created or shaped in this moment. But today will be history. But it'll still be today. When we get to tomorrow, you're not going to call it the future like you call it right now. You're going to call it today. So the mastery of living, the mastery of this journey, I call it a journey. I call it a number of things, but it's a journey. It's not life unless we're bringing life. It's not life unless we're giving life. That might be a separate conversation, but at any rate, let me repeat. Historicizing or futurizing your life keeps you from living your life, keeps you from understanding the responsibility of stewardship that you have for your life and for the things that are given to you, the people that are placed in your care or that come across your path. Does that mean that we're going to like each other and love each other and sing Kumbaya every night? No. But we have in common, more than not in common, the human experience. And we have to begin to elevate ourselves and include ourselves at the level of humanity. So we're not here to grow into our adulthood. That's a natural process. All things being equal, I do realize there are exceptions. All things being equal, we will all grow into adulthood. What is not automatic is that we grow into maturity, spiritual and otherwise. If we are spiritually mature, then we will be mature in every other area. If we are spiritually congruent, spirit, soul, body, that's the order, then we will see congruency in our lives. Doesn't mean we won't have challenges, because as far as I'm concerned, what this path of life, this journey, is really a boot camp to prepare us, to move us into something greater, even while we are still on this planet. There is no such thing as yesterday. It's a context. It's a framework from which we operate so that we can catalog our past experiences. There is no such thing as the future. It's a framework in which we operate so that we can think we're controlling and influencing time. But time is the reigning champ. Time is always going to win. It's okay to be anti-aging if that's where you are, but it's not okay to be anti-maturity, because that's where we all need to be maturing. That's the purpose of life. That's the purpose of time, is to give us a way to measure improvement in our humanity. We're here to grow into our humanity, not into our adulthood. We're here to grow into our humanity. That takes intention, and that takes the understanding, one, that we're not in control. Two, that I can't operate out of a historical context. I have to assess and operate what's going on right now with me. And some of you aren't living your lives because you're spending too much time trying to tell other people how to live theirs. And that's not your responsibility. Now, we can help one another move forward as fellow human beings who have more in common than we do not, than we don't have in common. We don't like saying that, but it's still the truth. I'm doing this right now because I recognize I'm a human being, but you're a human being. Regardless of whether I understand you, regardless of whether we understand each other, there are things about the human experience, good and bad. I want to convey the good, but I don't want you to have to go through the bad. Why would I want that for you? You'll hear me saying other things. I was healed of cancer that I should not have survived. But the experience, why would I want anybody to go through that? No, I don't. Doesn't mean I can control that. But my intention, the reason that I had to go through that is so that I wouldn't want it for you. It's so that I wouldn't want you to feel that pain. Not that it has to be medically. It can be any pain. That's the reason for our pain. It's to grow us into maturity. Maturity meaning I don't want you to go through pain. Why? Because I don't want to go through it. And as a fellow human being, if I don't want to go through pain, why would I want to put you through something painful? I'm getting a little bit off track. I'm going to spend more time on that a little bit later in another episode. But let me keep moving here. Historicizing or futurizing your life keeps you from living your life. So if you're a person that's stuck in the past or stuck on the future, you're not living. Time is overtaking you. So if people say, well, I'm stuck. Why are you stuck? The question is, ask yourself. Stop asking other people the hard questions. Ask yourself the hard questions and then be honest enough to answer them honestly and authentically. Are you where you are because you just messed up? Then that's okay. But just say that and then find resources to help you get to a better place. But it's not okay to keep blaming other humans for things that really you're stewarding, you're responsible for. Blame doesn't carry weight in the spirit either, spiritually speaking. Chaplain Michele, me, this channel, this podcast is all about holistic spirituality and the implications for our humanity. Holistic spirituality. I don't have to take from you to get where I am. I have to deal with my own junk. We each have to deal with our own junk. Otherwise, guess what? It keeps coming back around. And I made the decision a long time ago that I don't want to keep going around the same trees, hills, mountains, whatever. There are certain things in my life that where this is and the dynamic associated with this, I want to develop this. I want to walk in this. I want to abide in this. I want this to be part of who I am and what I value. And then there are other things that's like, nope, I don't care where it came from. It has to be tested against where I want to be. You have to have in one sense, you have to have the vision for better without futurizing it to the degree that you can't do anything right now. And where you don't see, or where you're deferring your responsibility. We're all responsible. At a certain age, it's just like we reach age of consent, right? At the age of consent, you're responsible, or we're deemed by law to be responsible. Spiritually speaking, I can't tell you where that age is. It might be the same for us. It might be different. But each of us has one. All things being equal, again, I realize there could be exceptions. But all things being equal, we all have an age of consent and accountability in the spirit first, which means I then become the steward. When I was born, someone else was the steward of my life. When you were born, someone else was the steward of your life. But when we hit that age of consent, we become the stewards. And that's the point at which we say, okay, whether you had a good experience or a bad experience, when someone else was stewarding your life, what part of that do you keep and what part of that do you heal from and move forward? That's how we have to do this. Because some of you are stuck in the past because it's too painful to deal with what you came through historically. But you can't stay there because time's already moving past you. It's already moved past you. So if you're living in a place where you're stuck, you're behind time, right? Because time's not waiting for you to resolve that. It's not waiting. Because every day you have an opportunity, every moment, really. You know, people say day by day. One of the things I learned in going through what I've been through medically was, no, it's not day by day, it's breath by breath, moment by moment. So every moment you have the opportunity to do something differently, to break the cycles in your own life that you don't like. We're just not sometimes aware enough. We either don't want to do it, so willingness is going to be key to all of this. Willingness is going to be key in this part of it. I don't have to be willing to grow up to be an adult, but I have to be willing to mature spiritually so that I can mature in other areas of my life as a human being. We're not here to grow into adulthood. We're here to grow into our humanity. And so at some point, we become the stewards, and we have to say, okay, well, not sure how that was supposed to go. Here's some things I would change, wouldn't change. Well, the place to change them is now. If you want something better than where you've come from, or whatever your situation is, you like where you come from, whatever it is, you've got to hold on to what is good. What brings you the legacy of your highest and best self, the way that people remember you and how you gave to them or how you treated them, or just how you gave them a smile or a consoling look, or you checked in on them. How do you want to be remembered? Because the universe is not just going to honor what we say about ourselves. The universe looks for what other people say about us. We've heard it, karma. In some places, in some practices and mantras, it's called karma. In other places, it's the law of what you reap, what you sow. It's agricultural principle, meaning the seed that I place is also the seed that I get to harvest from. Reap brings the harvest that I'm ultimately going to reap, even if I'm trying to throw my seed in other places. Ultimately, what I sow is what I reap. What you sow is what you reap. So we have to begin stewardship of this journey. Means that we have to begin to look at who we are, not we collective. There is no collective apart from individuals. That's another thing that we do. We, they. There's no such thing. There can be the alignment and association with, that's only because individuals have determined that that's who they want to be. And so, kindred spirits, birds of a feather, that's where all of that comes from. But at some point, we have to still ask, is this who I want to be? Every day. Am I doing better or worse? Or am I just having an off day? Some days you just have to take the day off because you're feeling off, right? And you don't want to do anything that's going to throw you more off course than you might feel. And sometimes I will tell you, I use myself first because I try not to talk to you about anything I haven't experienced firsthand and witnessed in great detail. Or some days we're not doing as badly as we feel. So it's best we just feel badly. We have to acknowledge that and then say, okay, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to try to change anything today because I'm not in the right place to change it. But we are responsible to a great degree, while not entirely in control of the course of our lives. And the challenges are not meant. I don't like challenges any more than you do, but I've learned to reframe them at least a little bit, understanding that I'm not entirely in control. I used to think that I was. Historicizing or futurizing your life keeps you from living your life. This is where and why so many of you are stuck today. Where you are focused is where your life is. If past that's where your life is. If future, that's where your life is. The issue with that is that the whole of your existence is in the present. Okay, so if we're spirit first, spirit isn't saying the universe, higher power, the powers, the power, whatever your particular terminology is. We're talking about holistic spirituality. The greater forces of the universe, not of humanity, of the universe, are not saying, oh, they're stuck in the past, let's give them a pass. The pass is we get another day to fix it, to get it together. Right? Time is still moving. The calendar is not going to stop where you stopped, which means that every day that you don't take an honest look at your life, I encourage journaling. I'll talk more about that later. You have to write it out of your system. Typing it does not help you get it out of your system. There's something called kinesiology, which means that there is a connection between what you're writing, what's in your spirit, and what's in your soul that gets that out of you so that it's not continually going around like burning a CD or a track of some sort. So some of you are replaying out of historical contexts that seem very real to you, but time is really just continually marching past you. Which means that until you deal with that, you are not going to grow into your humanity. You are not going to grow into your maturity. And the legacy that you leave will be one where people say, well, they were always talking about the past. They never moved past this day or this moment. And let me tell you, I know it can be painful. And it's supposed to be. Because that pain is supposed to teach us that we don't want to go, not only that we don't want to go through that anymore, but also that we don't want to put anyone else through it. So some of you are stuck, and it's okay to be stuck, but it's not okay to stay stuck. We all get stuck. It's a growing process. So physically, when someone is getting stuck somewhere, they're having a growing pain. We can say that. Oh, they're having a growing pain. Or this is just part of being 10 or 12. It's part of adolescence. So when we are doing this spiritually, it's a whole nother game. Why? Because we don't think like that. And so it becomes judgmental. Right? We become judgmental. It's okay. We can understand what someone is dealing with or even have an observation or a sense of something. But unless we're willing to help them, understanding from a human perspective what they might need, if they want our help, willingness, then unless we're willing to help them, then we need to be quiet. Because the gift that we have to give each other is that, you know what? If there's just a little teeny thing that I can do for you today, what is that? And some people are going to say nothing, and that's fine. Some people don't want your help. Even people that you think need it. Even people that you think should want it. They don't want your help. And that's okay. But maturity means at least I'm willing to give it. Where you are focused is where your life is. If past, that's where your life is. And time is marching right on. Because whatever day or week or month or period that you're stuck in, time is not there anymore. Now, spiritual implications, the spirit-soul implications of that, whether it's in this generation of human beings or a previous generation of human beings, the spiritual implications still are present. Why? Because just like DNA, just as when we go to a physician's office, they ask us to fill out the form and who in your family has XYZ, there's also something called a spiritual history, spiritual DNA, a spiritual genealogy. That's impact that's with you right now. And if it's something you don't like about yourself, but you don't know where it came from, right? I've had that happen more times. Where did this come from? And sometimes the answer is, well, you sowed this. This is what you did. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes the answer is, this was in your family, in your generation, in their generation that came into your family, that came through your spiritual lineage eons ago. And so how do you deal with that? Well, I don't want this. And so you begin a process of identifying areas in your life where these things show up. And you're like, nope. And just remember, it's harder to unlearn than it is to learn. So some of these things you don't even find out about until you're old enough to even understand what it is. And even then you get caught off guard. It's okay. Remember, we're not in control, but we do have responsibility. We're stewards, not owners of the process. We're stewards of the process. Life is a journey. Time uses. Okay? Let me tell you my definition, how I see life. Life is a journey. And time uses process to reveal purpose. Life is a journey. And time uses the process of our journey to reveal our purpose. But the purpose of time and eternity is to give life. So we need to be growing. Why do things grow? Because it's supposed to grow. We're supposed to grow. And so we get caught up because physically speaking, we know we have an expiration date, an end date. But spiritually, spirit and soul exist beyond that physical end date. So did you hear what I just did there? So I'm aware of that, but I'm not so focused on that I can't do what I need to do right now to make sure that my legacy is one where I treated people well. For the most part, nobody's perfect. I have my days just like you do. But I try to have less of them, right? I try to have less of them as I mature intentionally than I did when I didn't have a clue. So if we're flying off the handle, so to speak, at the same rate we did when we didn't understand, that's a problem. That means that that's what we want to do. And that means that we don't understand the spiritual implications of our legacy that exists right now. Your existence is in the present. So to the degree that you cannot bring, or that you cannot or do not bring your focus to the present moment, you are missing the very moments that make up your life. Do you want your life defined in past tense or in present tense? Meaning, today is whatever day it is, but people talk about you right now in past tense. It doesn't even make sense when you say it out loud. Or future tense. We don't control time. So it's always still going to be today. And the spiritual implications of whatever took place that we haven't dealt with are happening today. So there is no past. If I haven't dealt with something in my past, whether I caused it or whether it was passed down to me through the spiritual DNA, through the spiritual genealogy, the spiritual lineage, if I haven't dealt with that in a way that makes it better for me and for the others that might encounter me, then it's no longer past, it's today. If I'm thinking, oh, I can do this tomorrow, number one, we don't control time. Number two, you don't exist in tomorrow, you exist today, right now. So those constructs are things that we can use to envision, well, this is where I want to be. I want to be my highest and best self. So I need to start today. I'm not futurizing to the point right? I don't futurize that to the point where I am not doing the practical things necessary to demonstrate my understanding of the stewardship that I have over my own journey. Responsibility, stewardship, but I'm not fully in control. That is a hard thing to get a grip on, because everything we're taught to a certain degree by society is that you have control. Well, you can look around and tell that we don't have control. If you ever made a plan, a single plan that didn't go the way, a single plan that didn't go like you expected, whether it turned out better than you expected or worse, that's telling you, that is the indicator that you're not in control. Not that you didn't plan right, well, it's that you're not in control. That's what that's telling you. Time is a current and therefore always flowing. I said this before, I'm repeating it. And for the record, if you hear me repeat things, it's not because I've forgotten that I said it. It's for emphasis. It's to purposely be repetitive. Time is a current and therefore always flowing. Time, as the saying goes, waits for no one, including you. If you're not flowing with time, you're not growing in time. If you're not flowing in time, you're not growing in time. If you're not flowing in time, you're not growing in time. You cannot live in the past because the laws of time and life prohibit it. The past is a marker, private and collective, by which we place and catalog our experiences and our memories. The past is a marker, is a catalog, is a place, is a category of where we place experiences and memories that we've already had. Right? Even since the time that I've been recording this podcast, there are now some past moments within this podcast. Time is still moving. It didn't stop when I started recording. Our respective paths and journeys. And to be able to walk into your not just you have a path, you already have a path. Your existence gives you value. Whether that value appreciates highest and best self or does not appreciate is up to the intentionality around your stewardship of your journey. Time uses the journey of life, the process in your journey, to reveal your purpose. But it needs us to cooperate, to be willing to grow. The past, and if you're heavily invested in the past, for whatever reason, you are effectively losing your life instead of living it. You are missing moments that are essential to the edification of your existence. So that goes back to what I just said. Life is our humanity, the value of our humanity, individual. Okay, understanding we're on the planet with billions of other people at the same time. The value of our individual existence is supposed to appreciate while we're here. You can be anti-aging, don't be anti-maturity. Even anti-aging, we have to think about that. Because that's what time is always going to be the champ. Have to think about that. Why don't I want to age? Is it about my appearance or whatever? You have to think about that. Each of us has to think about that for ourselves. But that does not absolve us or keep us from having responsibility for our intentional maturity. We're not here to grow into adulthood. We're here to grow into our humanity. If you are heavily invested in the past or the future, for whatever reason, good or bad, you are effectively losing your life instead of living it. You are missing moments that are essential to the edification of your existence, the strengthening of your soul, and the transcendent nature of your transformation. You are missing moments that are essential, not optional, to the edification of your existence, the strengthening of your soul, and the transcendent nature of your transformation. Memories. You have memories. Those are moments you've already lived. Bless them. Learn from them. But live today. Not even in today. We can't live in a full day. We can only live breath by breath. That's all we've got. I can't allocate a breath in this moment to a breath in the next. That's futurizing, right? That's how we think, though. So we think, oh, in the future. Well, you're not in control of time. So use the breath you have, every breath that you have, to do the best and become the best that you can be in that moment. Even if that means I need to sit down for a few minutes or I just need to be quiet. Whatever that means, deal with who you are and who you were meant to become. Highest and best self. That's the journey. That's the process. Live in the moment. It's still always going to be today. So you've got to master today. And when I say mastery, I don't mean in some expert manner, because we are imperfect as human beings. Period. We might be further along in our process, but we're still imperfect. We should be better, right? We should be a little better every day or every moment, but we're still imperfect. So live in the moment. That's all you've got. Live in the moment. And when we string those moments together, we are grateful to get 24 hours out of it. But how did we spend the 24 hours? And so then that becomes the level of assessment. Right? What did I just do? Whether you're feeling good about something or badly about something. Why am I feeling badly about this? What just happened? What do I believe about this? How am I feeling? Don't just check in with your emotions. Get out of your feelings. Doesn't mean you don't check in with them. But stop living out of your feelings, because your feelings are doing what your spirit's saying. So if you're stuck in a place, check what you believe, what you're convicted by, what you value, and whether there's congruency between your spirit and your soul. Right? We've become emotionally driven, but emotions are no match for spirit. Emotions are no match for spirit. Spirit is what's driving your life. It's driving it, whether we admit it or not. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about the practice. I'm talking about the essence of existence. It's spiritual, what we cannot see. It's driving your life. And your emotions might be all over the place, and we are, quote unquote, in our feelings, which is not a good place to be, because that means you're tossed about no matter what. You have no solid foundation. Find out what you believe, what you value, what you're convicted by. And then train yourself to think that way, to believe that way. Because what you believe is already informing how you think. It's already informing your ego. It's already informing your mentality, your emotionality. I don't know if that's a word. Your emotional state, your mental health, your mental well-being, your intellect. It's already informing all of that. Then that comes out in your behavior. The moment in which you are drawing breath, and I said this differently a moment ago, is the only moment you have. That's always going to be the case, right? So some people say that as like, well, you don't know when you're going to. No, none of us do. None of us do. It's not a threat. That's the truth. You can only live in the moment that you have. So if I'm drawing breath right now, that's the moment I got. That's it. When I get to the next breath, that's a new moment. I can't take the last breath and apply it to this one. So what's happening in many cases is that we are literally mortgaging our lives on the future, which means that by the time we get to the end, we have no appreciation of our humanity. I don't mean appreciation, well, that too. Appreciation in value, but appreciation of in terms of gratitude. I'm grateful for this breath. How can I do better? Is there anything I need to change? And I don't mean this to be some kind of intensive, although it needs to be more intensive than we've been about it. The spiritual essence of your existence. Spirit is the undercurrent of everything you do, just like gravity is what keeps our feet planted to this planet. Unless we are in some object or thing that allows us to operate outside of it, outside of gravity. You have to have something to defy, right? Some sort of enhancement, whatever it might be, to defy the law of gravity. Likewise, the undercurrent of our lives is spiritual. And when we align ourselves and understand that the current of what helps us to identify who we are is time, the process revealed through time. Time is eternity manifested. It's not separate. If time were separate, then it wouldn't be eternity. And if time were separate, then it wouldn't be time. It's a part of, the part we get to see and experience and change and learn and grow, so that others who might come after us might also learn and live and grow. The moment in which you are drawing breath is the moment, that's the only moment. You don't have a past moment. The moment that you had past, what you're calling past, is right now. It's right here with us. Anything that I've not dealt with in my past that I didn't like, and anything that I haven't brought forward for the benefit of myself and others, it still exists in this moment, whether you deal with it or not. And if you don't deal with it in this moment, or start dealing with it in this moment, guess what? It's going to follow you to the next, because time is not waiting for you back where you decided to stop living and growing. Time is still the reigning champ. And the future will never be the future. It's always going to be right now. It's always going to be today. It's still going to be today. Make peace with your memories. I said a little bit ago, if you have memories, bless those memories. I didn't say you have to like them. Bless them. Why? Because blessing your memories brings you the release you need to heal. If you have things that happen, whether it's loss or trauma, or maybe your memory's all good, still bless them, because it releases you into the moment where you need to continue to live and grow. You need to continue to live and grow in this moment. So hanging on to memories is only good if you're using them to build a strong foundation for your edification and your appreciation within the scope and spectrum of your personal humanity, which then accrues to humanity as a whole. Make peace with your memories if you need to. Don't be fooled by thinking that, and forgiveness, I've talked about forgiveness, but we'll talk about it more. Forgiveness is going to be key in many instances, even if it's forgiving yourself. That's part of blessing, is releasing. So I'm going to do several more. This is going to be a series. I guess it's a series at this point, where I'm going to be talking about various elements of everything that I just shared. We'll continue to talk about time itself, eternity, holistic spirituality, memories, dreams, plans, goals, hopes, expectations, realizations. A lot of these things are forward thinking. They're future thinking. That doesn't mean futurizing, which means that I'm so stuck on the future that I'm missing the fact that what I'm doing right now is going to affect what's happening tomorrow, which will be today when I get to it. We'll talk about disappointments and accomplishments and achievements, lessons learned, lessons applied. I'm going to talk about people that say they failed at life. Well, first of all, you don't know what your life is yet. Time uses your journey which is process, to reveal your purpose. So nobody should be saying they failed at life because you don't know what your life is about yet. And if you're saying that, you need to stop saying it, because what you're doing is you're negatively impacting the arc of your growth. This is all about growth. Life is about growth. That's why it's called life. We call it life just because we're here and we're alive. Being alive doesn't mean we have a life. And I don't mean that in the sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek way. Like we're going out and having parties and everybody knows our name. That's not necessarily, for some people, that's not even how they want to live. Life is greater than you or me. It's greater than all of us put together. That's the whole point. Life is process. It's the journey. It's the challenges. It's the hills and the valleys. It's the straight places and the crooked places. It's how we use all of that intentionally to live transformed, transcendent life, to become our highest and best selves. You don't need to feel useless or hopeless. Your process is not your purpose, but your process will reveal your purpose. Your process is not, and that's where we get, I failed at life. We are going through a process, and so we have something along the way, right? We stub our toe, our baby toe, along the journey of life repeatedly, and then all of a sudden it becomes, well, I failed at life. No, you just stubbed your toe, and it feels like it's reverberating throughout your entire body. That doesn't mean you failed at life. It means you're supposed to keep walking. Your process is not your purpose, but your process will reveal your purpose. And your purpose then ties into your destiny. I can tell you right now, for all of us, we all have one. As human beings, I mean. We all have one purpose. One general purpose. And that is to become our highest and best selves. To advance the cause of humanity in a way that benefits everyone. That grows everyone. By benefit, I don't mean, I'm not going to condition it. In a way that everyone can grow from and learn from and live through and appreciate and have their needs met. By needs, I mean basic needs. We're here to help each other. We're all puzzle pieces, right? If you think of it that way, humanity as puzzle pieces. We're all part of the same puzzle, and we need every piece to make the puzzle whole. I'm going to wind this down because there are other things that I will share with you along the way and in future episodes. And you're welcome to comment respectfully in the comment section if there are elements of this that you have questions about. Time is a manifestation of eternity that helps you and me mark the moments of our lives. What it's not meant to do. Time doesn't get us stuck. It's just like everything else. Well, time does not heal. Time passes. Whether or not we heal is up to you and me. Intentionality and willingness are the basis of this entire process. Time is meant to bring life, real, like life, not just living. Life, growth, abundance, peace, joy, love. That's what time is meant to do. But we have to cooperate with it. We have to learn. If we're not learning, we're not living. If we're not learning, we're not growing. If we're not growing, we're not living. If we're not learning, we're not growing. If we're not growing, we're not living. Nothing that is living can stop growing. We say it, even from a practical standpoint. If we don't see things growing and becoming abundant, we say it's dying. Speak life. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're not living. I am grateful for you, and I understand that regardless of where I understand. Let me say this. I understand that what I'm saying, what I'm talking about right now, is more than a notion on any given day, in any given moment. But it's necessary. When we recognize this journey that we're in as the process, not the destination, right? We're not in control, so we don't even know what the destination is. If we recognize this as a process, when we see somebody physically grow, we recognize that as process, as progress. If we don't see them grow, we say, what's wrong? That's how I look at things spiritually. That's how you should look at things spiritually, because that's what's driving your life. If you don't feel like you're growing inside as a human being, then it's because you're stuck. You're either stuck looking back or stuck looking forward, but you haven't fully grasped the idea and the concept of living in the moment, which is the only place you ever exist. The experience that you're having right now includes things you kept from the past, but it's not the past. It's right now. So if you're repeating the same moment that took place 15 years ago, it's no longer past. It's now. It's still today. Thank you. I bless you. I hope this is helpful. I'll be talking more about this. I want the best for you. And I want the best for you and for your families. And we should want that for each other. We don't have to know each other. We don't have to talk. We don't have to agree on everything. None of that. But as fellow human to fellow human, I believe that we have so much opportunity and potential that we're missing because we don't fully understand the spiritual nature of our existence. Thanks for joining me for this segment of Transformed, a podcast by Chaplain Michele. I'll see you next time.